We are ready to go here with the OVW. All right, we got the Sunday Night Savior and Mahkypinz on this one. Sunday, I believe you're starting it off right here. Take it away, buddy.
I really, really like starting it off when I watch OVW. Who I want to see on my screen is the Tate twins. They are becoming my favorite thing to see on OVW, and they like OVW seems to like to open shows with them because, as Mahky the Masshole says, you want to start with high energy, and there's nobody on that brand that's more high energy than those two guys.
100%.
They bring it every time. They're going like I said when we were reviewing the pay-per-view last week. They're not the biggest guys, but they're twins. They're brothers. They've been working together. I don't think they would I think they could go 2 months without saying a word to each other and still know what each other's going to do in the ring.
Yep.
You know, they're that in tune with each other, and they fly around the ring. They hit some high flying stuff. They're quick. The double team moves are awesome. So the first match was the Tate twins versus Mr. Zero Gravity, AJ Daniels, and Superior Tony Evans, and those guys were not on the same page from the moment they came through the curtain. One stepping in front of the other. They're not really. So you got the most cohesive unit in OVW against two guys that were not cohesive. I think we all know where this one was going to go. The Tate twins carried a large percentage of the match. You know, the other two guys are good wrestlers. They got their stuff in, but you're not gonna win. It's not gonna be 1-1 versus 2. It's never gonna work that way. You need 2 to beat 2. You know, 2 solos trying to kind of do it themselves is never gonna beat those Tate twins. And the Tates hit their tag team finisher, which is really cool. It's a backstabber from one guy into a top rope code breaker from the other guy.
It's such a good spot.
I'd love to tell you which one was doing which, but I can't tell them apart. So, but yeah, I mean, I really, really like the match. Yeah, those two guys are usually the best match on the card for me. This is definitely a 3 Lighthouse match for me.
I was right with you. The same thing. I gave it 3.5. I love that finish. That backstabber into code breaker. They ran circles around AJ and Tony in this match. Neither, like you said, neither one of them were on the same page. They kept tagging each other in and pissing the other one off, and it just seemed like AJ couldn't stay in the match. He was in the match for a few minutes. Tony tags himself in, and AJ yelled at him. He's like, dude, I just got in here. So, like, by no means of the imagination, and they were behind the 8 ball the entire match. 3.5 lighties, high energy, got the show going. And right after we heard Al Snow come out with the opening promo announcing what happened in the main event, and that there was going to be, like, all the controversy surrounding the referees and the double pin and everything. They left that open, letting us know that there was going to be a title match. And we're like, all right, cool, there's going to be a title. And then we start with the highest energy match on the whole show. It's a great way to kick the show off. Really great way to kick the show off. Like I said, I gave that match 3.5 lighties. Really good show. Gave me a lot to look forward to in the show. Really did. So in the second match, Tony Gunn came out and wrestled new guy, Jake Owen. It kind of seemed like... So first of all, Tony had the funniest thing in the world that happened in the beginning of the match. He went to high five fan, and when the fan went to high five him, he grabbed his popcorn and dumped it out. Asshole, sir. All right, you better buy that guy another bag of popcorn. That was the whole popcorn, and he dirtied the entrance area. That's just a mess. But this was really good because they brought out an unseen element. Cal Hero was involved in a storyline with Tony Gunn a while ago, and Tony had him fired. But Cal showed back up today, cleaning up the outside ring area. This wasn't a long match. It was kind of a quick match. Tony had a lot more of the offense, and it was a little more back and forth. But Tony being half the tag team champions, he's supposed to have a little more spotlight. But Cal on the outside in the audience, like, literally had a broom and a dustpan in his hand, distracted Tony to nothing else. He couldn't believe that he was even still in the building. Jake hits a sneaky roll-up, most devastating move in all professional wrestling. He hits a sneaky roll-up, pins Tony. Tony has no idea what's going on. Jake runs out of the ring. It was good. The whole match was kind of slow. All it did, it really set up Cal's return, and Tony having no idea what's going on with it. I like Jake Omen. I mean, what did you think about Jake Sunday? He's got a cool gimmick like that.
I was going to say that presentation was cool. You have that kind of like, foreign military with the beret type look coming out. I was a little confused when he took the tights off, and then it was a little more like almost jungly kind of look to it. But I would have wanted a little bit more. If you're going to have that military look, I would have wanted a little more military look in my in-ring gear as well. But it was almost like a MMA type shorts that he was wearing.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I like the look. He like you said, it was a short match. The few minutes they were in the ring, he looked good. I mean, he didn't look as good as Tony Gunn. Tony Gunn can go. I think we all know that. He's a former OVW champion. Tony Gunn is a worker. I love his standing drop suplex. Holds him up, vertical suplex, and then just lets him go.
Just lets him go. Yeah.
I love that move. But yeah, then you saw Cal Hero, who you saw when Tony Gunn came out, he had those boots tied to his waistband. Those are Cal's boots because Cal had to retire because Tony beat him. So Cal has to find another job. Maybe a janitor's his calling. He loves OVW, he loves wrestling, so he could still stay close, but he still has a job. And if Tony keeps dumping out popcorn, there's gonna be places to clean up.
Right.
So
that was a really cool piece of foreshadowing that they did, looking back on it after the match. You look at it and you're like, wow, sir, you are just a penis. But then later you look at it and you're like, wait a minute, this was, see, I said, look at that. He's going fucking ballistic. There's been a feather duster sighting for the first time all night. But that was a cool piece of foreshadowing. Yeah. Again, quick match, but good storytelling in a match. Right. And good storytelling can always supersede a fast match that you would have been like, I wish they had more, but it added. We talked about continuing a storyline or even bringing up a new one.
So we got two things out of this. You know how I like to say that did both guys advance from this? Tony Gunn, it looks like we can maybe see a little advancement, and maybe Cal Hero can maybe get back in the ring if he pisses Tony Gunn off enough, make Tony say, you know what, I'll let you back in the ring. You have a match with me. You have your career back. And it gave Jake Omen a pin over a former OVW champion. And
a current tag team champion. Yeah. This is a man that owns a belt.
Yeah. So it helps him out immensely. That's a notch on his belt. So it helps both guys out, and it helps three guys out. It helps Cal out too. So I like the storyline of this. Like you said, the match was there for a reason to set all this stuff up. But Tony got his spots in, and then the roll up of doom.
The roll-up of Doom. Tony, it's to Tony's credit. Besides all that, even though we got rolled up in Doomification, he hit probably one of the crispest and cleanest top rope knees to the face I think I've ever seen. He came off with a one knee to the face, and he rolled out of it like a champion. He stood right back up. It was a beautiful spot, one of the cleanest I've ever seen. Is giggly, all giggly?
Here we go.
Of Doom.
You said Doomification. It got me giggly.
Doomification.
There's not that is finished wrestling match more in the history of the business than the roll-up.
It's a truth. It's a fact. It's a fact.
But yeah, I mean, I like the match. I mean, obviously the match is a we'll call it a 2 lighthouse match, but the storyline advancement is 3.5 lighthouses.
Agreed. So now we have a one match thing where the match wasn't even the focal point. What happened on the outsides and all the other little things now forked off. And you got a storyline over here with Tony, go with Cal. You fork off. you spork. And now you got this guy. You got Jake Omen, who has a pinfall victory over this guy in his debut. So this is huge. Yep. This is huge.
It's like refreshing, isn't it, Mike?
Yep. Next segment is all about Mr. Pectacular, Jesse Godderz.
Yeah.
What a dink, huh? What a dink.
Yeah.
But dude's got the gold. He's got 2 pieces of gold. He's got one around his waist. He's got one on his shoulder. He can talk all the smack he wants to.
Yep.
And he talked plenty of smack.
And then,
Good. Yeah.
And then we see AJZ show up.
Yes.
And Jesse was like, who are you? Are you from catering or what's going on here?
Yeah, it was so funny. I laughed out loud when he was like, what are you, catering or something? Like what?
It was a very good line, but AJZ looks like he looks like a real threat to Jesse in more ways than one, not just for the title, but Jesse's Mr. Spectacular. He's got the best body in the company. That's what he promotes. Take a look at AJZ. He's got some real competition, even in just that aspect. AJZ is a former bodybuilding champion. He is definitely a guy that can compete in that aspect. I know when we were talking pre-show, you said you kind of saw like AJZ is almost like a face style Miz. You know what I mean? So what I saw in AJZ was a little bit more like Kurt Hennig, like a face Mr. Perfect. Like I'm a national champion in this. I'm naturally good at everything I do.
Very similar characters.
Yeah.
Very, very similar. Yes.
Yeah, I'm better than everybody at everything I touch. But why wouldn't I be better than you, Jesse? You know what I mean? This is kind of how I felt it. Those aren't the exact words, but if I'd written a promo for him, that's the next one I'm writing. So it was just a pretty cool back and forth between those two. I kind of liked it. I mean, it led into what was next, which was the when we saw our what's his name, Reverend Ronnie Roberts. Have the good word, and his guest was the OVW National Champion.
National Champion.
I call it North American National Champion, and one half of the Southern Tag Team Champions, Jesse Godderz,
But it was cool. That is a really long sound. It was really cool.
I'm going to cut that short, don't worry.
It was cool because after that confrontation he had with AJZ, I wanted to hear more because AJ talked more than Jesse did. I wanted to hear more. As much of a dink as he is, I wanted to hear more. I wanted to hear him rebut. I say penis references, and this kid goes nuts. I wanted to hear more of what he had to say. And when we come back from the break, we have the Reverend in the ring, and he brings out Jesse Godderz like right away. And that made me very happy because a lot of that last segment was AJ getting himself over and trying to let him know that, hey, listen, bud. And he even tapped the belt on Jesse's shoulder saying, hey, bud, listen, I'm one match away. I'm one match away from you, so don't you look at me lightly whatsoever. And Jesse kind of brushed him off.
Yeah. It was you haven't beaten me, and he goes, well, I haven't beaten you yet.
Yet. Right. And it was really, really good. So Reverend brings him out, and Jesse tells everybody in the crowd, anybody watching, anybody that would be willing to listen, how good he is and how much he's done, how many titles he's won. Yeah. The whole time he's doing this, he pulls out a big fat wad of cash, and the Reverend has the collection plate, and he's dropping 20s in the collection plate. He's making a friend in the ring. Well, the Reverend's appreciating this, and he's, talking Jesse up, but he also brings up some very good points. That's saying that there might be some people who are in the back who are kind of thinking that Jesse's dodging people, most notably AJZ. And it's funny as hell because that's when Jesse starts taking money back out of the plate. And then Reverend changes his tune. But in the end of this, he basically says that he is not afraid of fighting AJZ, and in fact, he will give him a national championship match this Thursday on OVW TV.
Yeah.
And that is huge for AJZ because he talked a lot, and he let him know that he was right there. Well, here's your opportunity, kid. You're going up against the guy that has had the belts, that has had the experience. You haven't yet. Here's your opportunity on TV in front of a live crowd to go out there and put a belt around your waist. Or even if you don't, Go out there and give this guy, Jesse, every little piece of energy you got.
Yep.
And I'm looking forward
Give him a run
to watching
for his money.
That. Hell yeah. I'm really looking forward to that.
I mean, it's a title match that we're going to have to review next week. Shucks.
Right.
I'm so upset about it. And it's between these two guys that have set up this match very, very well.
Right.
I do like at the very end when because the Reverend did say at the end, he goes, "Hey, this is a guy that, you know, he might be better looking than you. He might have a better body than you. He might all this stuff." And that's when Jesse went over, grabbed the collection plate, and emptied it out, and took it all back and put it back in his pocket.
Can we talk about how good the Reverend is on the microphone?
Oh, he's so good.
We were talking about this pre-show that we haven't seen him wrestle, but right now, his timing, his cadence, his delivery, his gimmick, it is so over. I don't care if you don't like him because he's a heel or you do like him because he just tells it and spits it like he is. That character is gold. That man who, like, his skill, that's just a gift. Yeah. We are going to see more of the Reverend in later years.
He needs to lead a stable.
Yes, you were bringing that point up too earlier. Yes,
he needs to lead a stable. You know, like we said, we haven't seen him in the ring, or I haven't seen him in the ring. Anyways, I mean, I'm sure he's been in the ring, and we're still somewhat new into covering OVW, so maybe he was in the ring 3 months ago and I didn't see it. But I'm just checking it now. But he's been on every show I've watched so far. You know, and there's a reason.
Yes.
Yeah,
there is.
He's got to be on the TV screen. You know who would be probably good to be in his stable would be the Tate twins.
Oh my goodness.
You know what I mean? You see that there? Him be the speaking voice for those two guys.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, well, we'll move on from there.
That's huge.
So. The next match is a tag match, and it was a little weird. So it's the new Rush champion that we just got crowned at Retribution, Star Rider and Esperanto Maya, and they were facing JC Adams and Isaiah. So the way it was explained by the announcers is that JC Adams had a different partner. I forget who they said it was, and then Isaiah worked his way into the match because he wanted Star Rider because he was the former Rush champion that lost it in that four-way to Star Rider. So Isaiah just did everything he could, kept tagging himself in the match. JC actually tagged himself back into the match, and Isaiah was not happy about that. But Rush and Star Rider and Esperanto were two lucha type stars. They're quick. They're awesome. They work well together. They could be a full-time tag team. I mean, Star Rider has the Rush title, so he's not going to focus on tag team wrestling at the moment. But
they were cohesive.
Yeah,
the two guys that just got put together, they were very cohesive in the match.
If there's a point where they're kind of, neither one of them are singles champions, they could definitely go after those tag titles. Mm-hmm. So they were putting on a good match, and Isaiah kept trying to do it himself. Then JC kept interrupting him. So it worked out. The two masked men ended up getting the pin on JC Campbell, and then Isaiah was so pissed he just attacked JC Campbell at the end of the match, and it was just good. Isaiah is such a. I talked about Jake Omen's presentation. I love Isaiah's presentation.
It's so good.
Yeah.
His character, his demeanor in the ring. Yeah. He's quiet, doesn't have to say anything. Yeah. But his stature, he's a large man, and he's just dressed to destroy you. Like, he just has it. And in the ring, he's fluid. He's good for a big man. He's flying around. He's jumping around. There was a spot where we had the guys out on the outside. Isaiah was outside. Esperanto hit this top rope Fez press on. It was a killer spot. Takes out Isaiah. JC comes out of the ring and suicide dives out and nails Esperanto. Star Rider tries to go out and do his own suicide dive. This is over the course of 30, 45 seconds. Isaiah gets up, gets back in the ring, and hits Star Rider one-legged lariat from 7 feet in the air. I mean, it was and he planted him with the spot he moves like a super heavyweight. Well, he moves like a lightweight, but he's big enough where he's like a heavyweight. By far, I mean, he's just very, very good. He's another one we are going to see more of as the years progress. And I hope he keeps the same gimmick because the character is boss.
Yeah,
he's so boss.
I think he's a guy that's going to move up at some point. I don't know if I don't know what his speaking skills, his promo skills are, but he's definitely got like that it factor. He's on your screen, you watch him. Simple.
I'm an instant fan. I became an instant fan last week when we were watching Retribution, and they started that fatal four-way for the Rush title, and he started it just standing on the middle ropes, just staring down at everybody as if to say, you are less than me, and I am going to destroy you all. And he just stood there for a good solid minute. John is about to eat the microphone. What's the matter, bud? You all right?
I was just going to mention something.
Okay.
I also like the fact that Isaiah is also part of a legacy of brutality, and the manager Jay Ashcrack in there. I have to. It was the first thing that my other half said when she was watching it with me last night. She's like, "Oh, look, is that Jay Ashcrack thing?" Jason Ashcraft. Yeah, he's a hell of a manager too. That's got a good mouth on him as well. And the fact that Isaiah is with that group of a pretty decent faction
that is a solid faction.
Oh yeah.
Yes, experience, size. The only thing they're missing is titles. That's it. They could be a dominating
Cash
force.
Flows has another opportunity at it. So
true.
All right, continue, guys. I just wanted to say that.
No, I thought that was a good match. I gave it 2.5. It was very similar to the first match of the night that we saw. Yeah. We saw a cohesive tag team versus like more of a strange bedfellows tag team.
Yeah.
And it didn't work very good for the strange bedfellows either time. JC took the pinfall in that match. Isaiah was not getting pinned in that match.
No.
A big double drop kick. But it was a solid match, good tag team match. A lot of tag team wrestling on OVW this week. It was good. I wish Coastal, hopefully he got to see it because he's a big, huge tag team fan.
Yeah, you got a lot of guys on the show.
Yes, they really did. Speaking of getting as many people as they can on the show, we had a ladies match, non-title match.
Correct.
Next, we had Charlie Cruel, straight from the playground is where she's from, which is very, very cool, against Hollywood Haley J, Luscious Lawrence's female accomplice, girlfriend. I don't know. I think she might just be his man. I'm not sure, but they're always together, very similar. Yep. She is your current OVW Women's Champion. We saw a different side of Haley. During the pay-per-view last week, she was practicing her little vignettes, but we didn't see her in the ring. We saw her in the ring on OVW, and she was a house of fire, she was. I'll tell you, I think Charlie got in 2 or 3 pieces of offense. Charlie has a cool move where she shoves a Pop-Tart in your mouth. And, I'm always hungry for Pop-Tarts. Good stoner snacks, love them. Wild berry.
With butter, too.
On the plain ones, yes, with no frosting.
Yes.
Yes, in the toaster oven, delicious.
Yeah, I don't eat those, but they have to have frosting. I like it.
Oh God. Okay, so anyway, I like them too. Okay, so
sorry, got me excited.
Snap it,
Haley,
put it in my mouth and make me happy and call me pretty. Oh yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Change the Slim Jim to a Pop-Tart with frosting, and he's a happy guy. So one of my favorite calls in all of wrestling was Gorilla Monsoon's call. When somebody would jump the bell, he'd call it a Pearl Harbor job. And Haley was all about that. The second the bell rang, she was on Charlie's back, and Charlie just didn't have a shot. She was just pounding her with kicks and strikes. She came out with so much aggression in this
ruthless aggression.
Right. I wrote it right here. Haley is all power early.
I see what you did there.
She's playing to the crowd. She's yelling at the ref. She is just so mad. And I think a lot of that goes back to Jesse Godderz earlier, because he came in and he was giving Luscious and her some grief before that time when he met with the Reverend earlier. So I think she was still pissed off about that whole given situation. But she locked on this like one-legged choke at the end, and she just choked Charlie out. She couldn't answer the call. Ref rang the bell, and the match was over. However, Haley did not let go of the move. It was very quick. I think it was just more to set up that Charlie was so mad that she could just win in like 2 minutes. I'd like to see her in a little bit more. I only gave it 2 lighties because it was a very, very fast match.
Yeah.
I think she's more than capable of more than that. She is the women's champion. And I think Charlie was more than capable of giving her a better match than that, too. But I think this match filled the hole that it had to. Yes, it nailed the nail on the head. Haley is a pissed off individual, and she will knock you out or choke you out whenever she feels fit.
I've never seen her finisher with a pop top before. I've never seen a finisher with a pop top before.
Well, it wasn't a finisher, but it was a.
She pulled a pop tart out of her pocket and had Haley and just came down and smacked her in the face.
It was almost like the Samoan spike to the throat, like a pop tart to the face.
The Samoan tot, right in the fucking throat.
But so I don't know if Haley has a name for her finisher. The actual name for that submission is the Koji Clutch. I mean, Sami Zayn used it a lot when he was in NXT. That was his submission finisher.
What was it called? I'm sorry.
Koji Clutch.
The Koji Clutch.
Koji Clutch. You can look at like some of Sami Zayn stuff from like 2014 range in NXT. NXT, he would use that a lot. Like you said, this was not a squash match, but it wasn't far away from it either. Because Charlie did get a few of her moves in, including her pop dot spot, which, I mean, if I'm her, I want to get that spot in too. Just get that spot over.
The crowd popped.
Oh yeah,
the crowd thought it was hilarious.
You get that spot over like Santino's, Cobra, and you can create a career out of it. You know what I mean?
Pop tart.
Yeah, right. So. Yeah, it wasn't an overly high level match. I don't think it really advanced Charlie a whole lot. It definitely advanced Haley as a dominant champion. It was non-title, but still a dominant champion. She faces all comers. So yeah, I mean, I gave it 2 lighthouses is the right number on it. Like I said, it advanced one of them without really advancing the other one.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, Charlie just seemed like the match, she was just more in Haley's way.
Yes.
She really didn't get a lot of offense. And maybe we'll have some more info later. We'll get to see her again in another capacity, another situation.
Yeah.
But that brings us to main event time.
Yep.
We have the other members of the Legacy of Brutality. We had Steve Michaels and Cash Flow himself, straight off of his title match with Omar Amir at Retribution, facing off against Gustavo and said Omar Amir. Again, another tag team match. We get the whole Legacy of Brutality in there. We get to see Omar Amir. We get to see the 2 guys that Al Snow, Uncle Al, in the beginning of the show said that they are going to have this match again. And the whole thing I was looking forward to, like, no disrespect to Gustavo or Steve, I really wanted to see Cash Flow and Omar get it on. I wanted both the other guys to be out of the ring and these 2. And it didn't happen a hell of a lot.
No,
it happened.
They teased it a lot, but
it was good. It just wet your whistle like a little tiny bit.
You really want to tune in next week.
I knew that would pop, Rio. I knew that would pop. But it was just kind of enough to just get you to be like, this. If you didn't see the pay-per-view, then you missed out. Because I thought that match was really good. They teased a little bit of it the other night when they had this match. They went back and forth with each other. This match was more power versus speed. Gustavo's not a very big guy. Omar is a big guy. But if you look at Steve and Cash, they far superiorly huger, bigger, outweigh them, whatever adjectives you want to put on the thing. So they had a distinct power advantage through the entire match. But even still, you have the heels doing like heelish things. You kept having Cash trying to like blindside people and Gustavo getting hit in the back when he wasn't looking. And it seemed like Gustavo hit a big double drop kick on both of them, right? He came off the corner. And this was, I had a little beef with this. He came off the corner and he hits both of them one-legged drop kicks each, right? Like off the top rope. And he comes off and he looks like he hurt his knee. Like, he actually held his knee for a few minutes.
Yeah.
But then, like 45 seconds later, he's back running around the ring like nothing happened. Like, that was a big spot. And he did land funky on his leg.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But, like, you sold it. So show me that it really hurt. And I'm going to believe that when you guys win later, that it was, like, the toughest fought victory. Like, this could have been a 3.5 lighthouse match if that kind of went that way. Omar does end up hitting Island Time on Michaels at the end of the match. He did not pin Cash. He pinned Steve.
Yep.
Steve took the fall, so that leads me into more of, I need to see him versus Cash.
Yeah.
I need to see, because that match was really, really good main event match at Retribution, and it's going to main event OVW's first show on local TV down there, which congratulations to them for getting a full-on TV deal. The sky's the limit for these guys. They have a lot of talent. They tell good stories. Their promos are good. Their wrestling is really, really good. I gave the main event match 2 3/4. I think it should have been a little better, but it was perfect for what it needed to do. If it was more of a pay-per-view style tag team match, that could have been 3.5, maybe 4. But it was a really good match.
Yeah, the point in that match was you said the exact words, and Triple H's going to pop again. It wet your whistle. Oh, maybe not. Oh, there he is.
I think he fell asleep. No, there he is. There he is. A little lag.
It wet your whistle because you do want to see those two guys go at it, because there is major heat between both of those guys. They both want that title. So it's the title is a number one, but they don't like each other either.
No.
I mean, from the whole trying to chase down Captain Caribbean when Omar was suspended, to this and Cash at Retribution thinking the title's just going to get handed to him, then he's got to fight for it. Like, there's so much here, so much backstory between these two that.
And then they both pinned each other.
Yes.
So they both think that they're the champ.
They both have a claim. Like, I pinned that guy. One could say I pinned. His shoulders were down before mine. Whatever. So. Now we already talked about how we have. I'm going to be right in the same range. I'm in like the 2.5 lighthouse range on this match as well. It did what it needed to do to wet the whistle. But now next week we have a national championship match coming up next week. Now we have an OVW heavyweight championship match as well. We've got some stuff to talk about next week.
The show is going to be stacked.
It's almost pay-per-view-esque. Again, we just had a pay-per-view last week, and now we have basically another one coming up just in regular TV. It reminds me of like when, SmackDown moves to Friday nights, they put on the huge show. This is like the same idea, a pay-per-view quality show for free as part of it.
I was just going to say that. This reminds me of that when we all heard that SmackDown was moving to Fox and they were changing up how they were going to do things, and they announced that big Kofi Kingston versus Brock Lesnar match.
Yeah.
And we were all like, oh, my God, they're going to have a title match on TV. Back in the Attitude
Rock
Era.
is going to wrestle on TV.
Right. But now here we go, and they're going to do it on Fox because it's a big major moment. And then I think some people were, maybe some people weren't, but I personally was kind of disappointed that Kofi kind of got squashed in that moment.
Yeah.
But I understand the story that they were trying to tell, but there could have been a better way to tell that story instead of getting everybody and their brother to watch that episode, and then they just basically just kick Kofi in the dick in 1, 2, 3. I know it was 2 F5s, or was it 1? And then the match was over.
I think it just one.
It was just one. This will not be like that. This will probably be a good, solid 15-minute title match. Yeah. And that's exactly what I want to see with a definitive winner, please. Yeah. Just give me that satisfaction of knowing who won, and then we can play the story out for a cool rematch at some point. That would be super pissing.